Thank you, Dave. We're good. Awesome. Great job, Dave. Okay, our next speaker is Steve Osipek, or goes by the name of No Steve. His title of his talk is ThickNet, It Does More Than Oracle. Steve Osipek is the Director of Security Research at TrustWave's Spider Labs, where he is in charge of keeping the Wiresharks fed. Prior to Spider Labs, Steve created NAC-based hallucinations sold to cowboys, got stung by a scorpion, and wandered out of sales engineer training. Now he's just trying to find his keys. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Osipek.
Thank you. So, appreciate it. Actually having a bit of trouble here with my voice, so if you can bear with me. I've actually just came down with something a couple days before the talk. Wanted to make sure I was here. I did a lot for you guys. I went and got a steroid shot today, so in the morning. So yeah, look what I do for you. And actually, I've been on some medication as well throughout the day. So if I kind of go out there a little bit, if you bear with me, just kind of bring me back to the fold. I'll go right along with you. And actually, yeah, speaking of medicine, Miss Ashley, if you could, when you have a second, I could take you up on that. I appreciate it. Thank you. Great, thank you. So, ThickNet does more than Oracle. I don't know how many of you guys have heard about ThickNet. We talked about it at Black Hat Europe 2010. Last year, we started, me and this other guy named Wendell Henrique started this tool. It's a man-in-the-middle attack tool. It's written in Perl, and it's, okay. It's good, man. So no, it's cool. We will actually talk about that. We might change that a little bit. So it's a man-in-the-middle tool. The whole idea is really to be able to take over the sessions. And of course, the reason I say it does more than Oracle, the very first thing we tackled was Oracle, which for some reason was like the most ridiculously difficult protocol to tackle, it turns out. But a little bit about me, and I've just noticed that things are going ridiculous on some of these slides, so if you bear with me. Directory Security Research at Spire Labs, network pen tester, used to say somewhere in that garbled mess it says Perl apologist. And basically we're in charge. Spire Labs, TrustWave Spire Labs, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Miss Ashley, everyone, thank you. So, Spire Labs Research, we're in charge of the new signatures for things like IDS, IPS. We have a mail system called MailMax. We do spam filters. We do all sorts of things. We're kind of on the cutting edge. Read full disclosure, much to my chagrin most days. But we have to keep up with that stuff, right? Spire Labs as a whole, that slide looks a lot better. 2005, been around for 6 years. We're kind of the advanced security team at TrustWave. We do all the penetration testing. Like to put the word thought leadership in there. We're basically the guys that go to the rest of the organization and kind of give TrustWave an idea of what we should be looking at with the products and such. Some numbers, over 400 incidents we handled in 2009 and in 2010. Believe it or not, nearly 4,500 pen tests. We keep pretty busy. I was a pen tester for a while in the network pen test practice. And speak at DEF CON, Black Hat, SANS, OWASP. You pretty much look around, we're all over the place. Now, there's something about this presentation. This is a new one for me because I usually like to go out to Google Images and grab all my pictures. But the legal team talked to me and they said you can't do that anymore. So I wanted to just let everyone know that during this presentation there's not going to be any of the usual suspects in the slide deck. Photo camera, everything we created is created by ourselves. It's either Microsoft Clip Art or, of course, my favorite thing is the spray can in Microsoft Paint. So with that being said, let's get things kicked off right. And I want to let you know they are not drunk. So what is it? What is this thing? I almost said what it was. What is it? What is MITM? What does it mean? What's it about? What do you need in order to do a MITM? What does it stand for? What do you have to do to pull off an attack like this? Okay, so does it stand for mamby-pamby in the middle, you think? Maybe? No, probably not. How about man-hug in the middle? Think it stands for man-hug in the middle? We're getting closer. We're getting a lot closer. It's this clip art, okay? No, the M, it stands for man. It stands for man. Man in the middle, right? This is about being the man in the middle. Okay, this is what ThickNet was about. ThickNet was about how I'd sit there on a pen test and look at EtterCap, use EtterCap, which is a great tool, awesome tool, to get in line, to get in the middle of something on like an internal pen test. And actually, I'd be waiting, I'd be praying that the guy who I'm watching, it's talking to the database server, would put in the right query so that I could see cardholder data, and I could say, hi, gotcha, take a screenshot, put it in the pen test report, and finish up. But that seems kind of ridiculous, right? That doesn't sound like being the man. That doesn't sound like being the man in the middle. It sounds like I'm just kind of waiting around for stuff, right? So the thing is, and I should also say that, I don't want to offend anybody, so I'd add, it could be macho woman in the middle. The thing is, we want to take control of the session, right? We don't just want to wait. We don't want to be a spectator. We want to take control. The packets are going through us, right? The packets are coming to us. They're going to go through our machine and back out in the wire. And I felt very powerless before I had ThickNet to really do anything with it. And I'd argue that if you're able to use ThickNet and able to use it to your cause, you will be the envy of all of your friends, apparently. That was actually in Stockholm. I didn't see that until I put the slide deck together. I was like, oh, there's those dudes kind of looking at me there. So it's kind of interesting. Put on a show. So let's talk a little bit about art poisoning, okay? This is going to be focused on art poisoning. All of these kind of attacks in information security, they have some context around them. They have some, if-then statements attached to them. So in this whole talk, you have to assume this type of attack, man-in-the-middle attack, is all about the fact that you have access to, like, let's say in this case, a layer 2 network. But that's not the only way it happens. Sometimes you can do it by, screwing up DNS entries. Sometimes you can do it with DHCP starvation, although that's still L2. You can do it with a number of different ways, but pretty much keep everything we're doing today inside this context that this is a specific situation. This is a common situation in internal pen tests. This can also be a common situation in wireless networks where you get onto a hotspot or something in a public network. It's pretty easy to set those up as well. But this is really limited to that context that you're able to somehow get in the middle. And art poisoning is the most common way of doing this. So here, again, we got the clip art here, important people on the left. And notice, don't you like that Lotus Domino server? I thought that was pretty creative. So IP address on the left is 1.100. On the right, it's 1.5. There's some MAC addresses in there, some generic fictitious MACs. And then you've got the ARP cache. Now, the ARP cache is the thing that's going to map the IP address to the MAC address. So address resolution protocol. All that is saying, I'm going to take an IP address, I'm going to map it to a MAC address. That's all that is. It's just making the correlation there, because everything, as you know, at the end of the day, it talks MAC address to MAC address on the link layer. So now, what I like to call EtterCat comes into the game and says, hey, I'm going to screw around with this. I'm going to mess everything up. So notice what all we have to do. It's very simple. ARP is trusting. It'll take what you're saying and just go with it. So we're going to update the ARP caches. We're going to tell these important people that the Domino server 192.168.1.5 is at EtterCat's address. And the same on the right side. 1.100, the important people, are now also in the middle. So what happens? Now all the business critical emails, they all go to EtterCat. And EtterCat gets to read them and do things to them. And of course, the important people have no idea. They're thinking about their golf swing, and things go along. And that's the whole thing about this that makes it so nasty, is that you can pull off one of these kinds of attacks. If you do it right, you just send the stuff through. Nobody knows the difference. Okay, so ThickNet history. So like I said earlier, it's been around since last year. As you can tell, very good coding environment in the hotel of the conference in Barcelona with jet lag. In my hand there, I'm sure that's apple juice. But basically this is when, and by the way, that's my buddy Wendell over there. This was an attempt to show that we could actually get in the middle of these Oracle sessions. The proof of concept was we don't need a spec. The spec costs a lot of money. Oracle wants to charge you like multi-hundred thousands of dollars for this thing, and the whole idea was, well, if you don't have the spec, you can't really manipulate the protocol. Well, that's wrong. We can do that. We can do it using something called sled-based injection. We also did some stuff called, we also did some downgrading of credentials. So we would jump in the middle, mess around with the conversation, make it so that the credentials were sent in an old version, and then we could crack them offline. Now I see another messed up slide coming up. Oh, okay, that one looks all right. Well, as all right as any of these do. So we did it. We manipulated Net 8, which is the nasty protocol that Oracle uses to send the stuff across the wire. We're able to inject queries with it. This is all history stuff. And like I said, we use something called sled-based injection to do this. And that the proof of concept was, again, that we're just by sitting there and grabbing something. When I talk about a sled, I'm talking about we took a packet that was really close to what we wanted to insert on the wire. We took something that looked like maybe it's a select query. It's like, aha, I see a select query. I want to make my own select query. Well, let's use this as a template and then just change a couple things here and there and insert it on the wire. That's what a sled is, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. But the room for improvement thing, right? That thing, I heard some boos and hisses about Perl earlier. That thing, procedural, it's mostly procedural Perl. So it was kind of hairy. It would jump around a lot. It was pretty, Oracle was pretty ingrained in ThickNet at the time. It was difficult to add modules. It was Oracle only. And notice framework is always in quotation marks, right? So it's not really that easy to add to. Now, I got a surprise for everybody. I've added a new protocol. This one's pretty cool. I think I'm pretty excited about it. And so, drum roll, please. We're going to do Microsoft SQL today. Microsoft SQL, everybody. So now ThickNet can do Microsoft SQL in addition to Oracle, and that's a pretty exciting thing. And actually, in the process of doing this, I found Microsoft SQL is a heck of a lot easier to do than Oracle Net 8. I actually started with absolutely the wrong thing. By the way, I have a giveaway. Just to keep things lively. I'm going to be putting the new code out on GitHub in a couple days, and I can, get home and whatever, and get it up on the site and organize the code a little better. But I do have, I didn't have any USB keys, so it's really old-fashioned. I've got a CD. Okay, you remember these? Remember these? So I've got it, and I even signed it in case someday something weird happens to me, and this is like worth something. So yeah, whoever, I figure this way, whoever has the most fun at this presentation gets this, and just in case you don't have a CD-ROM anymore, I've got it's a DVD, CD, writer, external USB thing, so. So contributions are welcome. The making of ThickNet MS SQL. So in the synopsis for this talk, I talk about how I'm going to show you how to make your own module. Well, it's going to be some code review. We're going to get into Perl code. You're going to wince and laugh at me, but it's going to be okay. We're going to get through it. And what I'm going to try to do is kind of keep it high level so you can get a feel for what goes into it, and then we can, later on, if you want to talk with me offline or whatever about specifics, if you have an idea for a protocol, I want to encourage that. The whole idea is to try to get more people working on ThickNet, adding more protocols so we can have more stuff to play with. So like I said, Microsoft SQL is way easier than Net 8. It's implemented using this wonderful thing called tabular data stream protocol, which really is just taking the actual request that you put in the command line and throwing it into the packet. That's all it is. If you look at the Microsoft SQL packets, it's really anything you type in the packet. That's all it is. It's just a direct correlation. It's beautiful. It's in UCS 2. That's the only thing that's weird about it, but a lot of Microsoft protocols are like that. It's got like the 4 byte per character. Encryption's available in Microsoft SQL. It's not enforced by default. If you walk away from this talk and you don't care about ThickNet and you don't want to play around with this stuff and you want to get something productive out of this hour, then go back and say, if we have Microsoft SQL, if we have any database protocols, if we have any encrypted protocols, we really need to turn on encryption because encryption is going to screw this all up for us. Okay, encryption is there. It's just very rarely do we ever see it implemented in the field. Obviously, it's. Oh, go ahead. Yes, question. Great question. Question is, does the encryption available in Microsoft SQL authenticate the host and the client, or is it just one way? I believe you can do it with certificates. I believe. I can't. You should check me on that. I believe it is. And you can use IPsec as another good example. Absolutely, IPsec would do it. Absolutely. Specs publicly available. That's what the greatest thing about this is you can go to Microsoft's site. You don't even have to register. You don't put your email in or anything. You just grab the spec. It's there. It tells you how all this stuff works. It's really wonderful. It's also a great starting point if you want to make ThickNet modules. 90% of the work that I did for this talk and getting all this stuff ready was actually in the new framework. You notice the word framework's not in quotes anymore. I think it's actually a real framework now. It's a little bit better. Okay, I can say that with certainty. But you do have to be prepared to do some copy and paste. It's not, of course, what I'm saying there is it's not where I want it to be. It's a work in progress, but I'll tell you, it's a lot easier, and we'll look at that a little bit. So, the architecture, I've broken it up. I actually have something that looks like some sort of computer science thing in here. So look, I've got 3 different layers. PCAP, there's a PCAP module, or there's a PCAP, it's PCAP object, I should say. Object-oriented, PCAP object. So PCAP object, you create one of those, you set your PCAP filter. That's the thing that grabs all the packets off the wire. It, in turn, creates new packet objects. Then you have the packet layer. So now when we're watching the stuff, we're pulling all the stuff that's coming off the wire. We have a packet object that's going to parse each of those packets, going to do something with it. Okay, and in this case, it could respond. It could respond to a packet, or it might actually increment a value or whatever, and it's on the packet level. And then the highest level that ThickNet knows is a session level. Session is an established session. It's a communication stream. Okay, that 2 machines actually talking together. Injection, downgrade, whatever other actions you want to do in session, gathering sleds. It'll handle sequence and acknowledgement training, because as you'll see, we actually have to sort of be like a stack to pull this off. So let's just kind of go through the code review here real quick, and then we can get into the demo, which is a lot of fun. So some basic concepts, okay? This is like I say, just to get a feel for the flow. Please do feel free to email me, get in touch, Twitter, whatever. If you need more help with any of this, I'm glad to help you out. Here's a PCAP object. Okay, now we're getting into it. So, if you look, try not to get too overwhelmed by half the stuff. Don't worry, I don't understand most of it either. But and I wrote it, right? So, but the MS SQL PCAP filter part, the part that's in bold there, the TCP and port 1433. That line's very, very important. If you look at that, what is it saying? It's saying, well, I want stuff that's TCP. I want stuff that's going to port 1433 because this is the Microsoft one. And then it says EtherDest is my MAC and IPDest is not my IP. What does that tell you? What packets would meet that criteria? The stuff that is what? It's coming to our MAC, but it's not going to our IP. That's stuff that we're man-the-middling, right? That's stuff that's not actually intended for us, but we've told the world that it should come to us because we're screwing around, right? So that line there is basically looking for the packets we need. Now there's some other stuff about the PCAP handler, and down here I put in bold, there's a callback, beautiful Perl construct there. It's a what's that, a reference, you're dereferencing this is a subroutine, you're sending it to a subroutine. So what's happening is every time it uses something called any event to do because there's a lot of different stuff going on at once. Any event's really cool. And what's happening is PCAP dispatch is running on a timer every 0.001 second, basically, and then it's saying, throw the packet you get over to MS SQL packet, okay? And let's take a look at that thing. So here's our subroutine. Here's our PCAP object. So here's what's going to take that packet. Now we've pulled it off the wire. It's getting sent to this guy. It says ThickNet packet MS SQL new packet. So it's just going to take the packet. It's going to create a new packet object. And then down here, the other important thing to look at is there's 3 general phases here: pre-process, process, and post-process. The only thing you really have to do is process the middle one. The middle one is you when you make a module. The other two are there. You can augment them if you want. You can extend them, whatever you want to do. But the main thing is the one in the middle. Now we got the packet object, okay? This is where we're going to grab a sled. This is where we're looking for candidates, right? We're looking for candidates in the sled. And I'm going to try to switch over because the code here, it's helpful, but I'm going to see if I can. Yeah, okay, it's mirrored. It's mirrored, that's good. Okay, let me pull up the actual code. I think this is going to work better. I also want to show you something about the length, how much code we're actually talking about. I'm in like 640 by 480 here or something, so bear with me. Let's see here. I think this is going to be more helpful. So let me just show you this real quick. When we're talking about making a thicknet module, this is it here. You're talking about this much code, which is, let me look at the little slider bar to give you an idea how much that is. So that's about how much that is. It's a decent amount of work, but it's not outside of the expectation of making, like, let's say something for Metasploit or something like that. There's not a lot there. And then the same with the session. So there's two separate files I had to create to make MS SQL work. Here's the other one. Here's the session object. Okay. So let me show you on the packet. Let's go back to the packet object. And let me show you what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the sled. What I'm doing is I'm looking. This guy's talking through me. All these, you're basically doing a man-in-the-middle attack. People are talking through you, and you're waiting to see right here. This is a good part. You're waiting to see. You're actually looking for a packet that is a good candidate to use as a template. Think of the sled as a template. So I'm saying if the sled, notice there's a lot of comments. I put a lot of comments in here. Test packets until you find one. If your sled isn't set, only perform this check for client to server, direction equals 1. So if I see something going from the client to the server, I'm going to look at it. I'm going to scrutinize it until I set the sled. Then I'm not going to do this anymore. So what I'm doing is I'm saying in this case, I'm going to wait for a packet with 1 at the front to denote TDS. I know it's very generic, basic check, but on port 1433, that's probably good enough. Actually, in this case, you could probably use any data packet, but I'm scrutinizing a little bit for an actual TDS query. So this is the statement here. This is basically Perl speak for grab the substring, so grab the first byte out of data. If it's equal to this value, then go ahead and use it. And in that case, what I'm doing, you notice some very Perl object-oriented things going on. Self-session sled packet equals that, right? This is the kind of the detriment of Perl object-oriented. You can get pretty verbose in how you call these different objects, but this actually sets it up. We're actually creating the sled at that point. Then from there, we're going to go to look at the session object real quick. Actually, I'm just going to stay here. I don't want to mess around with that right now. Let's go over to the session object. So this is the Microsoft SQL session object, I believe. Yeah. So now this is where we have to implement sort of the actual interesting things about the Microsoft SQL implementation. So we've got something here for injection. Injection, what's it going to do? Well, all it's doing is, see this comment here, again, follow the comments. It gets a copy of the sled, and then it says, I'm going to create some things, IP object and TCP object. It's doing a decode on it. Again, copy and paste are good here. And then this is me creating a packet that looks like TDS. All this looks really like, how'd you come up with this? This is just me being a copycat. That's all this is. This isn't all that fancy. You can look at the spec. I mean, it looks really awesome because I have all this hex right in the middle of my code, but it's not awesome. It's just me being like, I'm just copying what they did. That's all that is. I just looked at a packet that was a query packet, and I said, I'm just going to make one of those and inject it in the stream. So notice what it's doing. It's just all this stuff is basically a TD. This is actually a TDS packet, and then this is the length. The length is going to be figured out by the string that comes in. This is the other part I was talking about. In the case of a Microsoft SQL, we have to encode it using something called UTS-2. That's little endian. That's just an implementation detail for this protocol. Then at the end, it's encoding it and sending it on its way. Okay, so try not to freak out. Take a look at it. Sit down. It's not as bad as it seems. It just takes some time to actually get your head around it. But there's a lot of this that you can reuse. There's a lot of it you can copy and paste. And keep in mind, the only things you really have to do are the session and the session object and the packet object. So let's see if this works here. There we go. But we had another boo-boo here. Let me see if I can. Oh, I see. No, it's still messed up. Okay. So anyway, we talked about this. Session object, base session class handles acts. So that's the other thing to keep in mind is that once we take over, once we start injecting, and we can do asynchronous. That's what's beautiful. We'll see this in a minute. We can start doing asynchronous injection. We can take over the session. We don't have to wait for the victim to start typing things. We can actually just start injecting stuff and take over as if we're sitting in front of the computer. But at that point, we need to be smart enough to manage our own sequence acknowledgement numbers, which it pretty much takes care of for you. So the demo. Now, what I did was I'd like to show you this without knocking over my drink. Let me see here. So, what's that? That dude? No, he's just on barbiturates. So these two here, check this out. This is awesome. If you ever heard of the VIA Artigos, the VIA Artigos are these cool little boxes. These actually have 64-bit processors in them. They run about 300 to 400, depending on what you get spec'd out. They have little wireless modules and stuff. Somebody the other day showed me the plug computers to trump me, so I'm kind of like a little bit crestfallen about that. But still, this is pretty neat because it's 64-bit proc, it's Intel compatible, and both of these are running Win 7 Pro. So for a form factor that size, micro ITX, called the VIA, I see some people writing it down, it's called the VIA Artigo A1100 is this model. They're very cool little boxes. Why do I need these? Well, I can't show you a demo of Man in the Middle without real boxes. I don't have the luxury of pulling up VMs because it's not going to work the same inside of like the own little virtual router or whatever they give you, at least not that I've found. So I actually brought 3 machines with me. One is my laptop. The other 2 are these. One is, they're both running Pro, Win 7 Pro. One is a SQL, has the SQL Management Studio on it. The other one has an SQL server on it. So here in a second, I'm going to connect to that, and we'll give this whole thing a shot and see if I can do it without screwing it up. So, any questions so far while I'm firing that up? Got really, really quiet in here. Let's see. Oh, you know what I'm doing? I'm not typing in the IP. Yes, please, if somebody could do that, that would be awesome. There we go. That did it right there. Uh-oh, certificates. Okay, cool. So let's see what full screen looks like. There we are. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, cool. So let's give this a shot. I've got that set up, and now bear with me here. Okay. This is our Linux box here. It's a VM running on my Mac. And then, if there's a better way to do this, I'm having I almost need like an assistant or something. Hang on. Okay. Yeah, you know, that kind of makes sense. Hang on, let me switch over here. Yes. That's right. Can you hear me okay? Oh, yeah, that's good. Much better. Technology. So, let's do that, and let's do this. Okay, here we are. Now we're going to poison these guys. Vamp.pl, that's the ThickNet program that's included part of the package. gives you, it's going to jump in the middle. It's kind of like your own little ARP poisoner thing. What I like about VAMP that makes it a little better than like ARP spoof and EtherCap, as great as those things are, is that it's stateful. So what's really fun about it is if you poison a whole subnet and not everybody's come into work yet, as they come into work, they'll get poisoned too and they can join the fun. So you can, it actually will keep track of everybody on there, and as new things show up, it's stateful enough to jump in there. But okay, so now we're going to start this off. Okay, good, that's working. So you notice it's saying request, it's telling you all the values it's using, and now it's doing the poison thing. And you'll see this, it just gives you some debug saying it's poisoning connection. So at this point in time, .30, which is the client, and .40, which is the server, all that stuff's going through us. Now, we're going to run ThickNet. All we have to do is give it interface, and it'll put us into a little interactive mode here. Interface is okay, it needs some work, but you can do the question mark and get a list of like what you can do there, and the LS is going to show us all the sessions. So yeah, this guy. Okay, cool. Let's fire this up. Actually, I don't want to spam us. Let's shut that off until I do this. There we are. Okay. So let's get everything set up here first. SQL Server Management Studio. .40. I'm going to connect as the super secure SA user. Maybe, hopefully. Seems to be taking a long time. Yeah. .40. Oh, I know why. How did I screw this up? What did I do? I screwed it all up. How did I do it? What's that? I know what I did. I messed it all up. Here's what I did. Actually, this proves we're poisoning. This proves we're doing a man in the middle.
Right, because you can't poison this.
Why can't 30 talk to 40? I killed ThickNet. I killed ThickNet. ThickNet's the thing that passes the traffic through. If you man in the middle attack somebody, you better be ready to pass the traffic through, because otherwise it's coming to this machine and the machine just drops it on the floor. See, what I did is I killed ThickNet and then I didn't kill VAMP. If you use VAMP, you send a bunch of packets to your machine. You don't pass them along. ThickNet's the thing that actually passes them along. So you got to have that running. So that's what I did to screw that up. So let's see if I can fix that. So now that I'm not doing any of that baloney, it should work. Connect Object Explorer. I guess that sounds. Yeah, that's the one. No. Login failed. That's better. That's a better thing. So let's try this. That's good. Okay. All right, cool. So we're connected. Let's go to one of our databases. Employee. I'm going to do like a new query in the employee database. Get all set up to do that. Let's make sure it's working. Select star from DBO list, I think it called it. Yeah, so execute that, make sure it's working. There I am. There's no Steve, janitor. That works. So try again. Let's start doing our man in the middle. And remember, this is all well and good, but we have to run ThickNet, or it's not going to work. So ThickNet's running. Let's see if our connection's still up. Okay? Now that ThickNet's running, this should work. Yes, it did. See the check mark down at the bottom. Let's do this a few times because sometimes it uses cache results. I find, let's just say. So the scenario is we're in a pen test. Somebody's playing around with the database server. We're in the middle. We're watching them execute select queries, whatever kind of queries. We want to take over that session. We don't care about their credentials. We don't know. We don't care. We just want their connection. Here are the connections. I did ls. ThickNet's showing me the connections. I'm going to use magic of copy and paste to put this in here. Yes, I know the interface needs to be much easier. But there you go. So examine, X is for examine this session. Okay, we're in examine mode. Let's give this a try. I'm going to go into inject. Inject is going to say, I'm blocking. Now I'm taking over. I basically say, this other guy, forget him. It's me now. Talk to me. So without knowing credentials, without doing any of that stuff, I'm going to do select star. Where'd my cursor go? There it is. dbo.list. Hey, check it out. I got a response. Isn't that awesome? Now the response doesn't look so great. Hang on. I'm going to make this look a lot better, because we're at some kind of primordial resolution here. Let's try that again. Can you guys, yeah, that's readable, right? That looks okay. Select star from dbo.list. Cool, check it out. We actually get a packet back. That means that the server buys it. The server says, yes, indeed, we think that you are SA. We think you're the same guy. It doesn't know that we just injected in the session. It doesn't know we've taken it over. So now let's do something a little bit more fun, okay? Since I know that I'm logged in as SA, just because I know it. I mean, you can always try this. You don't know, maybe you can do some queries to find out who you're logged in as. But in this case, we know that we're logged in as SA or as a sysadmin. So let's create something here. Create login BSides with password equal to, let's put CLE rocks. How about that? Put that in there. Cool. That looks promising. It's number 5. Number 5's good. Now we put create user. I have to use my cheat sheet. BSides for login BSides. Now we create a user from the login. That's the way crazy Microsoft SQL works. So now we go over here and say, okay, did it actually work? Let's find out. This would be really nice if it did. If not, there's a door right there. I've marked that out ahead of time. So let's see. I'm fast, man. Oh, where's this stupid thing? That's security, of course. Users. Hey, look at that. We got a BSides user. All right. All right. Now, here's the thing, right? We want to be able to do more stuff than just be a regular user. And actually, strangely enough, I'm not seeing the usual thing that pops up and shows me the server roles. I think I'm in the wrong place. I'm under users. I need to be under logins. Hang on a second. Guys, feel free to jump in anytime. There we are. I'm looking in the wrong object. This is where server roles are. They're attached to the login. And what do we see? We got public access. Well, that's no good. No, we want to have sysadmin, I think. So let's go fix that. So exec. It just isn't that exciting. It's almost like sitting down at this computer and just typing in stuff as if we are the right person, as if we are actually the administrator. It's almost like I could show you the same demo using like SQL command or something. But the exciting thing is that we're doing all of this without any credentials. I think that worked. Okay. Let's take a look. Just to make sure we're seeing the right thing here. Hey, I think that's pretty cool. So, any questions about the demo? Oh, hey, something else kind of neat. Watch this. This is really neat. So let's say you don't know how to do this right. Let's say we want to do like create user for. Let's see. Let's just do create user stuff, and let's leave the tick off the side there. For login. I'm just butcher this thing. Something doesn't make any sense. I love this. They're so wonderful in that they tell you how to fix the command you just injected. So it says unclosed quotation mark after the character string stuff for login stuff. So they're really there to help you, okay? If you don't know, you can kind of play around and figure it out. You can just put in pretty much anything, it'll treat you nice. The other thing that I like about this, the way that it's actually much better with Microsoft SQL, at least in the case of Server Management Studio, is that Server Management Studio is all about keeping the connection up. So when we blocked it, we actually screwed that connection up for Server Management Studio. That connection's blocked and dead and doesn't work anymore because we started blocking it. But check this out. I can do execute. It still works. You have no idea. Why is that? Because Server Management Studio is built to be transparent. It just opened up another connection is all it did. That's all it does. So if I go back here and I say, I think it's, yes, double exclamation mark for get out of inject mode. And I say go back. Yes, you have to type the word back, I know. And then you say list sessions again. Whoa, I got lots more sessions to play with all of a sudden. It's kind of cool. So there's a lot of fun stuff you can do with this. Okay, so back to the demo worked. That was a big deal. Let's go back to this. Oh no, another one. Okay, well, I think it's the first slide after I go into this mode seems to get corrupted. So I'll tell you, I remember those bullets. So the bullet says that encryption's a good thing. Okay, the top one says encryption's a good thing, and it's encrypted so you can't read it. And then the second one says that you should keep, actually I thought that was the second one, but keep the traffic inside protected networks. So I don't remember what the other one said. I think it said something about, I think actually those two bullets at the bottom are like two different bullets. Yeah, that's it. So to keep this type of traffic inside protected networks. In some pen tests, we were able to like get into the dev environment and then start man-middling the dev environment stuff, and people playing with Management Studio and whatnot. We could actually, take over those sessions and things like that. So something to be aware of is that these unencrypted sessions, if for whatever reason you have to keep this stuff unencrypted, please try to limit the exposure of those. You can see from this presentation, you take nothing else away from this. Remember that this is dangerous stuff if it's unencrypted. And network access control, address resolution protocol, management. There's switches that actually allow you to sort of fight ARP poisoning. Also, network access control can help with that. So next steps, and this is important stuff. So more refinement, easier to use object model. I think this is a huge step. I think you'll agree if you looked at the code before and after. BSides, which it really forced me to take a good look at this and make it better, so appreciate that. I think you'll agree it's much better than it was. It's actually pretty usable now, but there's always more room for better stuff. We could make it a lot easier to use. We might even think about doing a description language. You know how Snort and the WAF stuff, like Snort and like mod security, that's one of our projects at Spire Labs. They have like a description language. It's like an actual language and how you specify what you want to do with that tool. Maybe there's a man-in-the-middle description language. Maybe we should create something like that to make it easier. So you don't have to open up Perl or your editor. You just make something like that, plug it into ThickNet, and it just does it. More protocols, right? That's what I'm looking at everybody here for. If you're interested, email me. I promise I'll make a big deal on the blog and Twitter and everything. If you make one, it's going to be a really cool thing. More cool tricks. I have some more ideas. Hoping to flesh those out before Black Hat, DEF CON. Some stuff that'd be really neat. And so, little vote, right? The BSides Cleveland ThickNet Design Committee. Okay, we have to decide. This is important. Perl, the thing about Perl, object-oriented Perl, is it hurts me because you have to do a lot of this kind of baloney. And I actually got, for the first time, I got language envy, the Ruby guys. There's some other stuff like when you clone a very complex object, you have to do stuff like very unnatural, and I didn't even mess with it. You'll see in the code if you look at it, I kind of worked around that. And I asked a buddy of mine at work, I said, what would you do in Ruby? And he says, oh, you just put the name of the object dot dupe or something like that. It was something very simple. I'm like, oh man, that kills me. So I'm thinking about switching languages. It's either Ruby or Forth, maybe, embedded Forth or something like that. I was thinking. So what? No. All right. Rex is the one. Yeah, that's the one. Sure. Python. How many people in here like the fact it's in Perl? Is Perl like, hey, I got at least one. Who else likes Perl? Says Perl's just great the way it is. I know how to use it. I like the Larry Wall book. Okay. I think I saw like two hands. And then they looked around and they're like, oh crap. You know. How about Ruby? Everybody like Ruby more? There's a couple. Really, not that many. I guess just not a lot of, Any other ideas? Python. How many Python? Really? Wow. Well, you're really selling me on it, man. So Python, no kidding. Why? Anybody? Just because it's cool? Because you know it? Because you like white space to have meaning? Are you kidding me? Good. Tab, and it's like the end of the world. All right, man. All right. Well, the crowd has spoken. That's cool. All right. Well, I'll take that back to the overlords for sure. But these are your links. It's going up on GitHub. Until then, the only person who will have it is the person that has been the most interactive so far, and you can go to them and they can hopefully share it with you. But it's going to be up there very soon. Other Spire Labs tools, trustwave.com/spirelabs tools.php. It's a site that has like kind of introduction for all this stuff. A lot of this is on GitHub now as well. There's also the blog. Check out the blog. I'm going to be putting a blog about this, about the, basically the new ThickNet version up there very soon. On Twitter, follow me if you can. I don't have I kind of started on Twitter a few months ago. I'm like a total newbie, so I'm trying to get more followers. And then I put messages in all caps about things that my kids did to my computers, so it's really high quality content. And of course, follow Spider Labs. Thank you, Wendell Henrique, Tim Malatek, actually another guy at Spider Labs who I want to thank. He was kind of the first guy to come to me and say, hey, I think I want Microsoft SQL to be the next ThickNet thing. He gave me some PCAPs that helped me out. Logic Supply, they're the ones that made this whole live actual real demo. I had a video in case it blew up, but I actually had an RMA on one of these, but they comped the shipping and they were very easy to work with. They got it here in time. I told them I was going to Cleveland speaking to a lot of dignitaries about things, and so they stepped up. CJ really hooked me up at Logic Supply. I recommend that if you want to look at the little computers. BSides Cleveland, man, I'll tell you what, this is a cool conference, I'll tell you. Hey, what's cool? I got in my car and I drove here. There's a security conference in Cleveland. I didn't have to get on a plane, I didn't have to bum a ride, and I had to hitchhike. I actually just come on up to Cleveland. That's awesome. So nice work. And of course, the Microsoft clip art models, I want you to know that is not a violent, they're dancing there. Okay. So any questions about any of this? I don't know, how am I on time, by the way?
Real easy one. Somebody on Twitter was asking with the stuff from Logic Supply, like, is there a particular model number, anything like that? Because a lot of people seem to want to go out and get those.
Oh, there's those little the little guys? Okay.
The little things,
Artigos, yeah. The Artigos. What was the question?
Where do I get them?
Where do you get them?
Yeah.
This guy, that in this slide. Logic Supply.
Model number, anything like that?
What's that?
A model number?
Oh, Artigo A1100 is the one I have. A1100. There's also an A2000, which is kind of cool. I think it's better than the A100, I would guess. 1100, I would guess by the number. Any other questions?
Yeah, I got a question.
Sure.
I don't know is a perfectly acceptable answer. Does Oracle have an analog to Microsoft SQL's XP command shell?
Does Oracle have an analog to Microsoft's XP command shell? You mean like the SQL command, SQL CMD?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, we use that actually in ThickNet. Yes, they do. I'm trying to remember the name of the thing. I can get with you after. It's escaping me right now. It's SQL Plus. SQL Plus. Yeah.
OS interaction.
Oh, can you execute? Oh, stored procedures, XP command shell, XP underscores command shell. It's the stored procedure one. Okay, not that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Not that I'm aware of, but there is a lot of research in that area that works around that, and there are things you can do to talk to the base to the OS. Yes, there are some things you can do, and I shouldn't even say that there isn't. I think there probably is something like that. If Wendell was here, Wendell would take that question and make me look smart. But I know there's a lot of talks about that, about actually breaking in and doing things to the base OS from Oracle. But I think you have to do sort of more of a roundabout thing, like writing out to a file and then getting that file into somewhere and then executing code that way. So it's not as straightforward, I can tell you that. It's not as straightforward. Any other questions? Okay, guys. Thank you.
You're going to be available.